Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity to present my topic. Firstly, my topic, the center or a periphery, a vision of Constantinople, was chosen by me because of a very simple task. As far as Jerusalem was the main center, the center of the world in medieval Latin minds, I just wanted to clear it for myself. How did the participants of the so-called Fourth Crusade, how did they perceived this city, this huge metropolitan, comparing with other Western European cities, as we everybody know. So how did they see it? And was this city a real center or some kind of periphery or a border city of Western Christianity? I take into account a couple of sources. Two of them are very wide known, that are participants of the so-called Fourth Crusade, Robert de Clary Robert de Clary and Geoffroy de Villardouin. They represent the knights, participants of this crusade, but from different points of view, because the first one was a lower rank noble, a knight lower, and the second one, excuse me, Geoffroy de Villardouin, he was a noble. He was a famous knight. He was a Marshal of Champagne. So we can see different views on this situation from the high level and from the lower one. Another two sources are quite difficult to interpret and to sometimes even to understand. The first one is possibly the monk, a German monk, Gunther, but we know very less information about him and all his work, because a lot of problems with its interpretation and even the author. And the second one is unknown author, but both of them were participants and eyewitnesses of this crusade. The first one, the monk Gunther, he was present during this conquest, the conquest of Constantinople in 1203, 1204. And the last one, unknown author, he was also a participant, but they describe the situation also from different parts, different views, because the first one is a noble monk and the second one is such unknown that we even don't know who he was. Maybe some clerk from a church clerk from a lower rank. So we have different points from ecclesiastical one and from the knights one, and at the same time from the upper level and from the lower one. And of course, the Rus sources. I chose two of them. That was the first one was a fragment that was incorporated in the Letopis, or the so-called chronicles, the Rus chronicles, during 13th century. And the second one is an anonymous pilgrim who visited Constantinople at the second part or at the end of 13th century. So we can see views of eyewitnesses who visited Constantinople during the war, the crusade, the so-called Fourth Crusade, and after it. And of course, these two sources from Rus side, they are some kind of independent eyewitnesses who are not interested in depicting all these events in white or black colors. So let's start. Well, to be short, because of the lack of the time, I want to concentrate on three main features that are common for all these chroniclers and eyewitnesses. The first one is the idea of miracle. All of them describe different kinds of miracles. For example, just a few of them. When bowstring broke down when the Emperor Alexius III tried to kill someone and another pretendant on the throne. When Saint Dimitri killed Kaloyan, and that was a miracle that saved the Crusader army. The death of Murzuphilus when he was thrown down of the column or from the column, and that was depicted in the past in kind of picture, so that was some kind of prophecy of his death. The Kipchak horde that was moved away because of some kind of miracle, because they could conquer the Adrianople, but they didn't. Why? That was some kind of miracle that saved this town or this city for the Crusaders. Well, there are a lot of other miracles that are described in both Latin sources and Rus Orthodox sources and chronicles, letopis. So all these miracles, they also are connected with Jews and with Kipchaks, Ords, and so on and so forth. Even with the inhabitants of the Asia Minor, with the Turks or Jukes. So we may say that both sides, the Latin and the Rus, they describe and they believe that so much miracles that happened in this city during such a great war, such a great event. It just depicts that this city and all these events, they are so much important in a human being history that God should take part in all these events. The second block of features are relicts and, well, I should say the wealth of this city. The relicts, of course, we all know that this city was a place of a huge amount of relicts, from a holy cross and the Holy Lance that Speer, famously known even from the First Crusade, even from this siege of the Antioch in 1098, when the Crusade army was almost devastated and almost disastered, but still when they found the Holy Lance, the so-called First Crusade continued. Another one are the nails, the blood of Jesus Christ, tunic of Jesus, different bodies of the saints, pillars, the tombs of Constantine and Saint Helen, even the banner of Saint Mark when the Venetians tried to conquer the shore of the Constantinople. The banner made a miracle because it so inspired crusaders that they continued to conquer and this huge city, incredibly huge city. Another relics are, for example, the door of Noah's Ark, the Holy Cross, the head of Saint Andrew, the sponge, the spear, and so on and so forth. We may say that all these relics, they are so highly valued by the Crusaders because, as we know, the Holy City in the mind of medieval mind of Western Europeans is, of course, the center of the world is Jerusalem. But still, they managed to account so many relics that it's hardly believed that they didn't perceive this city as the center of the holiness when they conquered the Saint Sophia and other monasteries and other churches. And of course, the wealth of this city, mentioned by all the participants, even the Latin one, even the Crusaders that, described the city and the emperor and the inhabitants of the city, not always in a good manner or in white colors, but still they describe the city as the wealthiest on the world, that all the wealth of the world is concentrated in this city. And the last feature, as we may say, is definitely mentioned this city as the center of the world many times. These words are put into the mouth of Kerboga, the Turk Seljuk Sultan that tried to cooperate with the Crusaders. We may say that Geoffroy de Villehardouin, he said that these Turk mentioned the Constantinople as the center of the world, that this is a place for the pilgrimage, and the same level as the Rome or Santiago de Compostela and Jerusalem. We have even the example of a pilgrim from the Nubia, the king of Nubia. Robert de Clary, he mentioned that there are so many treasures in this city that even the Alexander the Great or the Charlemagne, they didn't have the same amount of such a wealth. A lot of other examples, for instance, that in Constantinople are so many treasures, so that all the treasures of the world are concentrated in this city. And of course, almost all participants, and especially the Crusaders, the warriors, the knights, they mentioned that this is the biggest city and the best defended city in the world. So we may say that taking into account all these features, that even trying to describe the city as a city of the enemy, a great city of the schismatics, or the foe of the papacy or the German Empire, great German Empire, well, Roman Empire of the Germans, still all of them describe this city as the greatest, the wealthiest, and the most important on the world. So we may say that these features, as such features as miracles, relics, wealth, and indeed this fact that it is the center of the world, we may say that all the participants of the Crusades, from the high nobles and to the low ranks, is it an ecclesiastical one or a secular one? Are they monks? Are they marshals? Are they knights, or just a simple pilgrims? They all mention this city as the biggest and the most important, or we may say one of the most important cities in the whole Christian world. Well, thank you all for your attention. To be honest, this kind of the Crusades spectre is not such a good, the best part of my work, because well, to be honest, I'm concentrated on the Levant or the Outremer, the Crusader states, and Muslim Christian relationship, but still that's such an incredible part of this history, the Byzantine Empire, the great state that participate and had a huge influence on all these events. So I'm really excited to hear all your questions, remarks, suggestions, or ultimates. I'm ready to speak and ready to discuss this topic, if you may. Thank you very much.